Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're ready to begin on Erickson versus King. We have both parties present. We have Mr. Hadley representing the respondent. Ms. Erickson, are you still representing yourself?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Erickson, where are you? Oh, there you are. I see you now. Thank you. All right. I think that given the number of witnesses we have, I want to make sure that we can finish in a half day, although I am somewhat dubious about that. So let me ask at the outset, and Mr. Hadley, you may have a better feel because you've got more witnesses. Are we going to be able to finish this in a half day, or is it something I'm going to need to certify to the judge?
I think we can finish it in a half day, Your Honor, but obviously there's some factors outside my control, but I anticipate we could.
Okay, well, I'll just ask everybody to please keep a close eye on the clock. I think what we're going to do then is we're going to have all the witnesses sworn in at once, and then I'm going to have everybody except the parties log off. This is the witness exclusionary rule, which means that witnesses don't get to listen to the proceedings until after they've testified and we're sure that they won't have to testify anymore. So everybody who's going to testify, could please have you stand and raise your right hand, please, and my clerk will swear you in. Okay, I assume that means you, Mr. King and Ms. Erickson. Aren't you two going to testify? Your other right, Ms. Erickson. There you go.
You do solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give in this matter pending before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that you will neither communicate with nor receive any communication from another person during your testimony unless authorized by the court, so help you God, or under the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Thank you. Thank you. My clerk cut out for just a little bit of that, and so I want to make sure, please go ahead and be seated, all of you, that you understand the obligation under that oath, and that is that you don't get to communicate with anybody else about your testimony or about what's been said until after everything is done. So no texting or anything else like that to say, here's what happened, I can't believe so-and-so said this, or anything like that. The only exception is going to be the text message that either Mr. Hadley or Mr. King or Ms. Erickson can send saying, it's your turn to testify, please log in. Are we all clear on that? Okay, then Ms. Erickson, are you going to testify first or is Ms. Shepherd?
I can testify first.
Okay, it's up to you. It's your case, and I'm not going to tell you what order to do it in. I just wanted to make sure if I needed to tell her to log off or not.
Okay, yeah, I can testify first.
All right, so then everybody except Mr. King, Ms. Erickson, and Mr. Hadley needs to log off, please, and then we'll let you know when it's your turn to log back in to testify. While everybody's doing that, Mr. Hadley, I saw that your exhibits were filed, but we need to have a hard copy that's been marked because for some reason the evidence clerk wants something that can gather dust or it doesn't count.
Well, I apologize. I went up there by mistake last time, Your Honor. I could have dropped them off then, but I'll drop off a hard copy for your...
That would be helpful. Just sometime in the next couple of days would be great. We do have your exhibits, Ms. Erickson, both the hard copy you left at the court and the courtesy copy. So I think we are good to go. So here's what the procedure is going to be. Ms. Erickson is the petitioner, so she has the burden of proving by a preponderance of the evidence that the parties were cohabitants, which I don't think anybody really disputes, and that there has either been an act of domestic violence or abuse, or there's a substantial likelihood there will be an act of domestic violence or abuse. So once Ms. Erickson is finished with her witnesses, then Mr. Hadley will put on his side, and then Ms. Erickson has the right to make a rebuttal because she is the petitioner and has the burden of proof. Then both sides will have a chance to make a closing argument based on the evidence that's come in about what I should rule. Is there any question about what the procedure is going to be on any side? Okay, who is logged in as Jason?
That's me, Your Honor. That is one of our witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, whoever's, yep, there we go. Jason just left. Excellent, thank you. Got to make sure everybody's gone. All right, Ms. Erickson, because you don't have anybody to ask you questions, is it all right if I ask you a few to get you started?
Yes, you may.
Mr. Hadley, is that okay with you, sir?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Erickson, let's start by having you state your full name and the state where you're living for the record.
Okay. My name is Hope Elizabeth Erickson, and I live in Colorado.
Okay. What is your relationship with Mr. King?
He is an ex-boyfriend.
Okay. Did the two of you reside together?
Yes, we did. We lived in the same house together.
When was that?
From September of 2018 to April of 2020.
Okay.
That was when we were living together. We were romantically involved longer than that. I would say probably more April of 2018 was when we got our like the romantic relationship started. But I didn't move in with him until September of 2018.
Has there ever been an act of domestic violence between the two of you?
Yes.
Okay. When was the most recent?
So, there was it was when I decided to break off the relationship. That night I had declined Mr. King sex, and he threw a temper tantrum about it, and he
Just a second, Ms. Erickson. Whoever's logged in as Jason needs to remain logged off, please. Please go ahead.
Okay. So the night that I had to call things off, he had been very not happy with me because I had declined him sex. I was playing games with some friends that night, and I told him I wasn't in the mood. And he got very angry with me that night, and I followed him into the bedroom that we were kind of sharing, and he started screaming at me, saying that just like because I wasn't giving him sex, it didn't make him feel loved, and like I owed him my body, and I broke down. And I started to cry, and I said I couldn't do it anymore, and I couldn't be in that relationship anymore. And he was just very angry at me. And that happened, but in the time that I remember the most prominent, would be there were multiple instances where I would decline him sex, and then he would throw tantrums and get really angry at me. He'd slam doors, he'd leave the house, he'd send angry text messages to me. He put so much pressure on me to give sex to him like it was owed, like that was what would keep the roof over my head, because I didn't think I had anywhere else to go. And there was this one incident that happened on New Year's Eve. I had invited my friend Hailee over for New Year's, and Jake had decided to give me alcohol. He had given me alcohol multiple times in multiple situations. But that night he had given me alcohol and I quote, to loosen me up. And he gave my friend Hailee alcohol as well, and we were both under the age of 21 at the time. And I got really, really, really drunk that night. And he kept nudging me, trying to get me to go with him in the basement, and I kept saying like, no, I'm not interested. I'm here to hang out. Like, I want to hang out with my friend. 'Cause she's here. He had his friend over, and so I really wasn't, I didn't want to, but I kept drinking because he kept giving me drinks. And I got very, very drunk, and he took me down into the basement and he raped me. And I had told him no multiple times, and he did not care. And when it was done, I changed into my pajamas and I went upstairs and I talked to Hailee. And she brought me back downstairs and she had to tell me that what was happening to me was wrong because it just kept happening, and that wasn't the only time. It just kept happening. He would do this to me often. And I was 18, 19, up to 20 because I was there for almost 2 years, and every time it happened, I kept trying to justify but it wasn't okay because it wasn't consensual, and I was not okay with it, and he knew that I would cry when he would fuck me. I would cry, and he knew I wasn't okay with it.
Ms. Erickson, I'm sorry. I know you're upset, but I do need you to watch your language, please. We're in a court hearing.
I'm sorry.
Do you need a minute?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Well, that had happened over a period of time. And things at the beginning of the relationship, like, things were great. I was barely 18, but his wife, Melissa, had been my friend before. I had gotten together with him and her. I really looked up to Melissa a lot. I looked at her like a mom. She was my favorite artist. I loved her art style so much. And I was 17 when I met Melissa, and she would knowingly give me pornographic content, like pornographic material, stuff that she had drawn, stories she had written that were all porn. And things eventually, after I turned 18, I got really, I had expressed that I had been interested in her, maybe in a romantic relationship, and I got together with them. I got together with both of them. The condition was that if I was to be dating her, I was also dating her husband. And I was okay with that, and things in the beginning of the relationship were fine. Like I genuinely, they were great. Like I was being spoiled, and I had a lot of, like, things were fine, and it was my first real relationship with someone. Like, it was my first real relationship, and things were great. But things stopped being great after I moved in with them, because then sex started to become it became to keep him happy, to keep the roof over my head, like it became an obligation. My body was owed. It was like a part of rent. Like I had to give my body in order to be safe and have a roof over my head and not go living on the streets. And they knew that. And somewhere around in 2019, that was when I started to express that I wasn't really interested in sex anymore. I discovered that I am asexual, which means I don't really like sex. And I had told him multiple times that, hey, not in the mood, hey, no. And it got to the point where he would throw tantrums about even just being like, hey, I'm not in the mood. And he'd get upset with me over that I started to lie and say that I was on my period because he wouldn't stop pestering me about giving him sex or giving him oral or whatever. And even when I was trying to like be like, oh, I can't, I'm on my period, he'd be like, well, you know, you can still use your mouth. And it was constant pressure, constant. And he was very rough with me. There was an incident where he had been rough with me to the point where I actually started to have urination problems. I couldn't pee without being in pain because he had tore something down there. It was the official like note was that it was dysuria, I think is how it's pronounced, but it is painful urination. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Nothing would fix me. It took me 3 months to recover after that. And even in those 3 months, even with him knowing that I was in pain, even just from like peeing, he still would pressure me for sex. He would get impatient with me. It was awful. And eventually it healed down there, and then after that there was more instances of him either using coercion, using alcohol to get me drunk so that then he could loosen me up and bring me downstairs to go have sex with me when I cannot consent, or just throwing tantrums and I was 19 years old in this, and once I ended up leaving their home, I had a meltdown, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to go. I had lied to him, and I told him that I was a lesbian. I am not a lesbian, but that was the easiest way for me to explain to him that I couldn't do that anymore. I just couldn't handle being pressured for it and being forced, and the violence that he would exhibit when he would do stuff to me. And it was too much, and I finally left, and I went and I seeked out help, mental help, where I got diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress syndrome. I think that's what it's called. CPTSD. And I started to get help. And I took some time away to heal. And then I heard through the grapevine that they had found another person that was similar in age. I had been 18 years old when I had gotten involved with them. I had heard through the grapevine that there was another girl that they were starting to bring into this whole situation. And
Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt, and I've tried to limit my objections, but it appears we're going into hearsay, and so I would object on that.
Ms. Erickson, generally things that were told to you by somebody else are not admissible unless it meets certain exceptions. And I know this is hard because you're representing yourself, but is there any exception that this statement might meet?
I'm not sure. I mostly was getting into it because I was trying to explain. I went public about what happened to me. I wrote up 3 different documents about it.
Okay, let's just, I'm going to sustain the objection on what was told to you, and then you can start saying with what you went public with, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So I went public with what happened to me after I had heard that stuff. And I had written 3 different documents about what had happened to me. I had tried to include as much proof about what happened. I also filed a police report about what happened to me. And I posted them onto the internet. And immediately I became very scared of retaliation, of being put in harm's way, of these people finding me. They sent a PI after me. They sent him to my mother's house in Utah. They sent him to my aunt's house in Kansas, trying to find me, and he had reached out to me and had harassed me over the phone, had been like, oh, hey, I have a letter for you that's supposed to protect you, like trying to play like he was my friend, like he was on my side, and like, yeah, these people, they're not doing nice things, but I have something that'll protect you. It wasn't there was no letter. There was nothing. He was trying to find where I was living because there was nothing that was ever handed to me. There was nothing delivered to me. And I started to get harassed. I started to get also pretty intensely stalked by Mr. King and his family and his friends, anybody on behalf of Jake and his wife. They would have people stalking me, specifically through Natalie, one of their close friends. And I had caught them watching my Instagram story, because I can see who looks at my Instagram story, people who don't follow me, I can see. And I found them, and I had said that I was in Kansas, and then a week later, the PI showed up at my aunt's house in Kansas, trying to find me, trying to find where I was located. And then recently, there's been these anonymous accounts that suddenly all of a sudden have my full legal name. I have not ever posted my full legal name on the internet, ever. The only way they would get my full legal name is through these people. Have my full legal name, have pictures of me, they've still taken pictures of me, pictures of my friend's car, and posted them on the internet, posted every form of social media I have, to the point to where, like, I'm being I feel like I'm being hunted down, and I am scared. I am terrified. And I filed another police report about that. And the other thing is that Jacob also did break the no contact order. He had sent a friend request over Skype, which I had included in my evidence. He had sent me a friend request over Skype in the time that the temporary protection order had been issued. He had tried to send me a friend request over Skype, and so had his wife. And I'm scared. I'm fucking terrified of these people.
Erickson, watch your language, please.
Sorry. I'm very scared of these people. And it's just been really hard. And I am scared that if they have contact with me, if they have access to me, they're going to end up hurting me. Because he's already shown that he's capable of doing so he raped me, and yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I believe that's all right for now, Your Honor. Oh, actually, they also had sent their daughter to go and attack me on the internet where I had posted my documents. She had been like, "Fuck you," like just saying awful things, just not good things. So I'm not gonna repeat all of it, but I had included that in the evidence, and they had sent her to attack me, and then after some of my friends had been like, "Hey, you need to stop, like this is between your parents, not you," like trying to get her to go away. They turned around and were like, they attacked her. They like claiming that I had been attacking her, but she actually came at me, and my friend stepped in and was like, "Hey, you need to step away. This is an issue for your parents. Don't involve yourself. You're 18 years old. You don't need this right now." And they turned around and tried to twist it and be like, "Oh yeah, they attacked my daughter," and all. It was like, that's not at all what happened. Yeah, I also prepared a victim impact statement about everything, and I wasn't sure if that was allowed to be read here, but I did write one.
Before we get to that, let me just make sure that you know that the documents that you have submitted aren't part of the evidence that I can consider in the case until each one is presented and foundations given, and then they are moved into evidence, unless Mr. Hadley is willing to stipulate to admit them, and I don't know if he is or not. So I don't want you thinking that those are automatically part of the record and part of what I'm going to consider.
Okay.
So with respect to the victim impact statement, is there any objection if she just reads that, Mr. Hadley? I think that would just be part of her testimony.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate, Your Honor, if we just consider it part of her testimony, and if there are evidentiary issues within it, I'll raise them.
Thank you. Go ahead with that, please, Ms. Erickson.
Okay, let me pull it up real quick. Okay. All right. I wrote this out. It starts as, they say pain makes us stronger, that it teaches us lessons and makes us braver. I'm sure some of that holds true in some regard, but at the current moment, all the pain I've been going through has been tearing me down. I truly do understand the pain of a person who no longer wants to live. I understand the pain of never getting the answer of the question, why me? I have learned so many different types of pain since my involvement with Jacob King. The pain of understanding that he raped me, the pain of understanding that his 36-year-old wife groomed me for him and was never my friend. The feeling of betrayal and feeling unclean every time, the feeling of being unclean that I will never be free from. The pain of being scared of every person who approaches me. Have you ever had the wind knocked out of you? You struggle and you gasp, and your lungs feel like they're going to explode. That's the closest type of pain I can compare it to. It feels like every time I am reminded of my trauma, the wind is knocked out of me. The pain won't stop because these people will not leave me alone. I have been stalked, threatened, harassed, and bullied to the point to where I'm scared to even go to school without having the police escort me to my classes. I was 17 when I first met Jacob and his wife. I was a fan of Melissa King's art, and she knew it. Although Melissa had assumed that I was 18 at first, she eventually learned that I was underage, and she continued to share illustrated pornography with my underage self despite this knowledge. I now believe that this was part of her efforts to groom me in a relationship with her and her husband. I was too young. When I turned 18, I thought they loved me. When I moved into their home in September of 2018, I was less than 4 years older than their eldest child. I often felt like I was another one of Melissa and Jacob's children rather than an actual romantic partner. Before I moved in, Melissa had already bowed out of the trio relationship. I entered their home believing that I would be in a relationship with Jacob King only. I thought that he was going to protect me and take care of me. I thought him pushing me to stop talking to friends and family meant that he cared about me and that he was the only one that cared about me. Sorry. The only thing that Jacob King wanted me for was for my body. I understand that now. He gave me alcohol when he was drinking and when I was not the legal age to consume alcohol. On New Year's Eve of 2019 into 2020, I was so inebriated and I was in no position to consent. I did not want to have sex with Jacob, and I told him so. He took me into the basement and sexually assaulted me while my witness Hailee and his wife Melissa and their 3 children were upstairs with their friend Ryan. Hailee had also testified that she heard me crying and telling him to stop. I don't understand how a man who has a child so close to my age could do what he did to me. Jacob would often tell me that he felt unloved and unappreciated by me, and I would always be extremely apologetic, even though I didn't really understand what I was doing wrong. I always was in a state of confusion around him. I couldn't read his feelings, and I thought it was normal to feel guilty all the time. Whenever I wasn't giving myself up sexually to him, he would suddenly become upset with the relationship and begin complaining and throwing tantrums. Whenever I denied him sex, he would complain that he felt unwanted and unloved. I would immediately begin trying to please him and make him happy, and the cycle would start again. It took me a long time to accept what happened to me. My friend Hailee had to sit me down and explain how worried she was for me the first time. For the first time, it had kind of hit me what had happened and that I was assaulted. I was in denial until my friend confronted me about it, which forced me to face what I was going through. Hailee helped me make a plan to leave their home, and with her help, I was able to leave. After I moved out, I told Jacob I did not want to have any more contact with him. More than a year before I felt brave enough to make the allegation, I was confiding in many of my friends about how traumatized I felt. A psychiatrist diagnosed me with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. For a year, I struggled with ongoing emotional pain. It took a long time for me to summon up the bravery to try and do something and try and hold Jacob King accountable. I knew that making an allegation of abuse would likely result in harassment, and Jake and Melissa had become popular online with their upcoming video game called Your Boyfriend. The game is about an obsessive stalker who pursues the player in a romantic relationship that very quickly becomes abusive. The production of this game has amassed thousands of fans who financially support it. When I made my public allegation, I knew that those fans of those games would take notice, and they did. But since my public allegation in August of 2021, I have been harassed continuously by Jacob and Melissa supporters on behalf of Jacob and Melissa. They have not only harassed me, but harassed any friends, any supporters, anybody who has shown solidarity with me. Hailee, the witness to my assault on New Year's Eve of 2019, also received phone calls 2 weeks after Melissa King had visited her workplace. The unknown caller had asked for Hailee's online usernames, something only Jacob and Melissa King would have known. I believe that the phone call may have come from a supporter of Jacob and Melissa, and that it was intended to intimidate and frighten her. Supporters of Jacob King and Melissa have also released identifying information about me online and dismissed it to other supporters. I received an influx of friend requests on my social media platforms and have not changed and have had to change usernames so that I would not be discovered. I have since also deleted all forms of social media because of how bad the harassment has become. I could see people who were working on your boyfriend with Jacob and Melissa were viewing my Instagram stories where I once mentioned I lived in Kansas. This information was passed on to a private investigator that they hired and tried to find me and serve a cease and desist or something along those lines. The private investigator only succeeded in finding members of my immediate and extended family who shut their doors in his face when asked for me. I believe that Jacob King intended and still intends to try and intimidate me into silence with the threat of financial ruin. The supporters of Jacob King and Melissa have posted instructions online on how to find documents relating to their original protective order I attempted to get in Colorado, but was dismissed due to what's this word? It was jurisdiction. It was dropped because of jurisdiction. They posted photos of me and my dead name, the name that I no longer go by, in their highly populated server chats. They even made a chat where they would post pictures of me and make fun of my body. Melissa also disclosed my usernames immediately after I made the initial allegation to her tens of thousands of supporters. Because of this, I have been in a constant state of fear. The harassment I have faced at the hands of Jacob King and Melissa King's supporters has been a second wound to my ongoing trauma. This harassment has extended the ongoing pain that I have dealt with, and it makes it seem as though the wound will never close. The suicidal ideation I have dealt with only intensifies this ongoing harassment on Jacob King's behalf. I have struggled with substance abuse in the time since I left the relationship. I was trying to numb the pain. It's something I continue to deal with. I lost my job because I was so emotionally traumatized. I could not leave the house for 3 weeks. I felt unsafe everywhere. I still feel unsafe everywhere. I have a lot of work to do before I heal. Jacob told a supporter of his, who later disclosed this to me, that he did not plan on stopping going after me legally, ever. Specifically, the way he worded it, I'm not stopping, ever. I want them to hesitate the next time.
Your Honor, I got to object to the hearsay here.
Another victim.
Ms. Erickson, he's right. That is hearsay. Remember, you can only say things you know personally, not something somebody told you.
Okay. I hope I have expressed myself understandably in this statement. No matter how it turns out, what happens to me and what continues to happen with the ongoing harassment on Jacob King's behalf was not okay, and I hope it never happens to anyone else. I will accept whatever outcome you choose, but it means a lot to me to have the opportunity to have my voice and my story heard. Thank you for hearing me out, Commissioner Conklin. And that's my victim impact statement.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Hadley is going to ask you some questions now. Do you need a minute or are you okay?
I can do it. I'm good.
Okay. My first question, I just want to clarify because I don't want to use the wrong name as I'm proceeding. Do you prefer to go by Luke or Hope?
I do prefer to go by Luke.
Okay. I will do my best to refer to you as Luke throughout this. I apologize if I use the wrong name because on many documents you are referred to as Hope, and so if I accidentally slip up, I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
Let me interject there if you don't mind, Mr. Hadley. Is it still
Yes.
Erickson or are you using a different name now?
No, it's still Erickson.
Would you prefer I address you as Mr. Erickson?
If you want to, yeah, you can. I am trans, but
Whatever you prefer.
yeah, you can refer to me as Mr. I wasn't sure. I know the legal stuff. I am legally still female. I am legally still my birth name. So I wasn't sure. I was just letting you call me go by Miss because of I know that it's the legal. my
No,
legal.
I appreciate that, but if you would prefer Mr., I will do my best to remember.
Okay, thank
Similarly,
you.
if Mr. King prefers to be called something different, I mean, we'll try to call people what they would prefer.
All right, thank you.
Hadley, thank you for letting me interrupt there. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. All right, Luke, I'm going to try to go through this chronologically as best I can, just to sort of try and keep things organized. Can you go back just a little bit? I'd like a little bit more detail if you would. Tell me about how you first met Melissa and Jacob.
I first met Melissa and Jacob when I was 17 years old. I had met them through the internet. I was living in Colorado at the time, and I was a fan of Melissa's art. She was drawing fan art for a game that I really liked at the time called Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a horror video game, but I really liked the art that she was producing for it. And I just thought that she was so cool, and I got brought into a group when I was 17 with a bunch of people who are much, much older than me, and Melissa, and we kind of started to become friends, and that's kind of how we met.
Okay. So you were a fan of Melissa's art.
Yes.
Okay. And you had mentioned in your testimony earlier that you're aware of the game that Melissa's currently producing. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
Do you know if Jacob's involved in the production of that game as well?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Were you at one point involved in the production of that game?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, what was your involvement?
I had helped edit the parts of the very first day of that game. I had been offered to a role of speaking as one of the characters, so a voice role as one of the characters. But I wasn't that crazy involved in the game, but I was a little bit.
Okay. Are you still involved with the game?
Oh, no.
What changed? When did you cease involvement and why?
I ceased involvement when I left their house, when I had cut off contact with Jacob, when I wasn't gonna involve myself around my abusers. I wasn't gonna continue to help them with something. I wasn't.
Let's talk about the relationship then. So you testified earlier. I just want to make sure I've got it correct. You said the relationship started probably around April of 2018. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. When would you say approximately when the relationship ended? Or I'm sorry, maybe you already testified to this. Was it around April of 2020?
April of 2020, yes.
Okay. Now, a lot of what I'm going to be focusing on, and I apologize because I know that it's a sensitive subject, but it's why we're here today, is going to be centered around the rape allegation that I believe, if I've got the timeline right, you say happened on December 31st of 2019?
Yeah, December 31st of 2019 up to the morning, so January 1st. So it was like really early in the morning.
Okay. So sometime that night.
Yeah, it was sometime that night.
Okay. I will get back to that. And so I just want to give you a forewarning that that's where my questions are headed. But I want to talk a little bit more just about the general allegations in the relationship. You said that Jacob would frequently throw temper tantrums when you would deny him sex. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have any examples of these temper tantrums or anything via text or some kind of recorded conversation between the two of you?
I do.
Do you have any of them that you could show to us or that you could produce for us today?
I entered, let's see.
I have your exhibits here that I could pull up if
I believe it, I labeled it as Exhibit G.
Exhibit G? Let me pull that up.
G. And it wasn't the actual fight, but it was me talking about the aftermath of the fight.
Okay.
And me expressing that I was feeling incredibly depressed about it, and talking about how my head hurt, because I had a massive headache, from crying so much the night before. And he was very, because we lived with each other, we didn't necessarily like text each other while living with each other. Our fights were always in person. They were always, like he was there, and so it would be silly to text him and fight with him over it and Jake was never very into technology, so that just was how he was. But I in here I had talked about where I said, I mean, I'm kind of depressed, but I'm okay. And then I had talked about having a headache. But
Can I ask you, what was Jake's response when you said, I'm kind of depressed, but I'm okay?
he had said, how can I help? But I mean, that's how he was. He would get mad at me, he would get upset with me, and he would freak out, he would throw temper tantrums, and then
I guess getting back to my original question, can you point me to anything hostile in anything that Jake says within Exhibit G?
no.
Okay. Can you point me to any hostile actions from Jake after? Oh, one
Are
moment.
you saying over text?
Jake, one moment. Jake, I believe Melissa's in the room with you. I think we'll have to have her step out for just a moment.
She was.
Yes, I'm sorry. So can you point me to any texts or any kind of evidence where these temper tantrums occurred?
No, I don't. Because it was always in person.
Okay. I want to ask you about one specific temper tantrum that you had laid out in your testimony, and that was when you ended the relationship. You testified that Jake lost his temper at that point. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you send Jake a text cutting off all contact with him after you had ended the relationship?
No, like I said, I had lied to him and told him that I was a lesbian instead. So I had tried to like make me leaving be as peaceful as possible, instead of trying to be confrontational about it. It wasn't until a couple months later that I had picked up the rest of my stuff from their house, and then I cut off all contact.
Okay. I want to look at the exhibit you submitted, Exhibit I. Is this a text message conversation between you and Jake?
Exhibit I. Let me look. Yes, that is.
Okay. Are your texts in the green?
Yeah, my texts are like the bluish ones.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how I describe that color, but
Yeah,
they're
it's
the
like
ones
a teal.
with the right alignment versus the
Yeah.
left? Okay.
The teal is me, yes.
Okay, I'm just going to read this text. If you would confirm for me whether or not these were your words to Jake.
Okay.
The first one says, Jake, I've been distant. I know I've been distant. I don't feel like I can be around you anymore in any capacity. I should have told you this sooner, but I'm uncomfortable. I know I still have stuff at your house, and if you need me to come pick it up, I'm more than happy to on Friday if my car is fixed. And then the next text says, I actually would like to pick up my stuff that I left. I'm off Thursday through Saturday. Did you send that text to Jake?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to read this. Did Jake respond by saying, I hate to lose a friend, but if that's what you need to do, I understand that. I'm sorry that I made you uncomfortable.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, did you detect any hostility from Jake at this point?
No.
Can you tell me about what time it would, or around what date these texts would have been exchanged?
That was, it was, I believe in September, because that was around when I was picking up my stuff, if I remember. It was like either late September or early October.
Okay. Did you and Jake communicate using anything other than text message?
We used Skype.
Okay. What usernames did you use when you spoke on Skype Messenger?
Nukatastic, I think was it.
Nukatastic was your name?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you and Jake ever discuss your sexual preferences over Skype Messenger?
Yes, we did. At the very beginning of the relationship, yes.
Okay, I'm going to pull up, Your Honor, this is our Exhibit D2. Was Jake's messenger name Poxbox61? I think that's the number there.
I believe so. I think that was his email.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, did you ever send Jake a list of things you would be interested in your sexual relationship?
At the beginning of the relationship, yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you about a few of the things from this exhibit.
Okay.
Did you tell him that you were interested in masochism?
Yes.
What about punishment?
Yes.
Blood choking?
Yes.
Sensory deprivation?
Yes.
BDSM?
Yes.
Bondage?
Yes.
Choking?
Yes.
And finally, rape play?
Yes.
Okay. I won't ask any more of those. I'm going to go to the next page, Your Honor, of Exhibit D2. Luke, I don't know if you have this in front of you, Your Honor. If I can share my screen, if that might be helpful, I don't know. But I just want to ask a couple of questions about this one.
I don't have it in front of me now.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just going to highlight one part of the conversation. And this is towards the...
Ursula could give you hosting ability so that you could share your screen, Mr. Hadley.
I was going to say, I wish there was a way I could... Oh, they are going to give it to me, or... Oh, there we go.
I believe so.
I will share
So
that.
we probably need to have the exhibit admitted before we read from it, if we're using anybody's words other than hers.
Okay. Well, Your Honor, I will move to admit Exhibit D2.
Okay. What that means, Mr. Erickson, is that Mr. Hadley is asking that this exhibit be officially received as evidence in the case. Is there any reason why I shouldn't receive it?
Is there a date on it?
There's not.
Mr. Hadley, perhaps you can lay some foundation about when in the relationship this conversation occurred, and then we can revisit it.
Yes. So, Mr. Erickson, you testified that you had sent a kink list to Jacob early in your relationship. Is that correct? Do you know about when that would have happened?
Probably in the first couple months that I was dating him.
Okay.
Probably when I was still living in Kansas.
Okay. Did you ever discuss being into BDSM with Mr. King?
I mean, yes,
Do you know about when that conversation would have occurred?
definitely at the beginning of the relationship.
Okay. Would that put it, the relationship started in April of 2018. Would it have been sometime between April and September of 2018 before you moved in?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to share this exhibit if I could, Your Honor. Well, I would like to move to admit it. This conversation of Exhibit D2.
Any other objections, Mr. Erickson?
Not that I can think of.
All right, Exhibit D2 is received.
Make sure I share the right thing here. All right, there's only... I hope everyone can see what I'm sharing here. There's only one particular part of the conversation I want to ask about.
Okay.
If you see towards the bottom of the conversation, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but Poxbox81 says, "So you're still into BDSM with me." Do you see that?
Yeah.
Did you reply, "Yes, why wouldn't I be"?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Poxbox81 responds, "I don't know, just overthinking, I guess. I never want you feeling obligated to do stuff with me you're not into." Do you remember Jake saying that to you?
Yes.
Okay, and did you respond, "No, love, I like it"? I wouldn't ask for it if I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. I'll stop sharing there, Your Honor. Okay. Now I want to ask some questions about the night of December 31st, 2019.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I did just notice the time.
Oh.
You may be correct that we may not make it through today. Things are moving a little bit slower than I anticipated, so I just want to check in with you before I keep going.
I actually have a question.
Mr. Erickson?
So how I do have a video that I need to share of that night, but I'm not sure how I enter that or how I ask for that to be shared.
Let's have Mr. Hadley finish his questions,
Okay.
and then we can see if Mr. Hadley has any objection to the video being considered as evidence.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of it, Mr. Hadley?
I have. I've received a digital copy, Your Honor. So
Okay.
I know the video that's being referenced. I don't believe I'd have any objection to it.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and finish your questions then, Mr. Hadley, and then we'll talk about the video.
Okay. All right. So I want to ask about the night of December 31st, 2019.
Okay.
You testified that Hailee was there, correct?
Yes.
Does she always go by Hailee, or does she go by any other name?
She also, her legal name is Hailee, but I call her Hailee. She only goes by Hailee online, but
Gotcha.
that's kind of how we met.
Okay. Was anyone else there that night?
Yes.
Who was there?
There are 3 kids, Jay and I believe Ryan, which is one of Jacob's friends.
Okay. So the 3 kids, Jay, you said?
Yes.
And Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to ask a little bit about the layout of the King's home. You had said that Jake had taken you downstairs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you describe for me a little bit about how this home is set up?
I mean, there's an upstairs and then there's a downstairs. It's 2 stories. The living room is right next to where the entranceway is, and then you go down a little hallway if you go down into the basement, and then that's where my room would be.
Okay. So while you were staying there, did you have a separate room from Jacob and Melissa?
Yeah.
Okay. Was anyone else, I mean, you've mentioned their 3 kids. Besides their kids, was anyone else living there at the time?
Jay was, yeah, but he was always in his room.
Okay. Where was Jay's room in relation to yours?
It's underneath. It was like, it's more right. So it was next to the stairs while mine was a little bit further down the hallway.
Okay. How far would you say the door from his room to your room was?
Gosh, I don't know. It's not that far of a walk.
Okay. What about Jacob and Melissa's room? Where was it at in the house?
That was above my room.
Okay. So when you say that Jacob took you downstairs, did he take you down to your room?
Yes.
Okay. And that is where you're saying the rape occurred?
Yes.
Okay. You testified earlier that you changed into pajamas. Did you rejoin the others after that? What happened next?
Yeah, I went upstairs, and my friend Hailee, could tell that I was upset, and she was trying to cheer me up by trying to get me to like sing songs with her and enjoy myself. And then eventually she kind of, we were right before we decided to go and take her home, because I eventually would need to take her home at some point that night. I needed to sober. We went down into the basement, and I was drinking lots of water, trying to sober up, and we talked.
Could you go back for me? So you needed to take her home, and you said because she needed a sober, were you supposed to be her designated driver?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. So were you sober at that point that you could take her home?
No,
Okay.
I wasn't. So I didn't take her home until much later in the night, much, much later.
Okay. Did you tell Hailee about what happened?
Yes.
That night you told her?
Yes. And I had been telling her about what was going on. I had told her about it before, and because it wasn't the only incident, like I had explained to her about what I was going through, and she had kind of talked to me about it, but she didn't really like sit me down and talk to me about what was happening to me until that night. And that's when we made an escape plan.
And did she know that you had been raped before you told her?
Yes,
Okay. How did she know?
because she saw me getting taken into the basement, too drunk to consent.
Okay. So she had believed that you were too drunk to have sex with Jake. And so
Yes,
she believed you had been raped in the basement.
yes,
Okay. Did she tell you that?
yes. But she also told me that she also heard me crying.
Okay. Did she tell you to go to police?
She did, but I was
Did you
scared.
go to the police?
I didn't. I was scared, and that was where I was living. That was the place where I had a roof over my head, and I was scared. I didn't go to the police because I was scared.
Okay. Did you have any conversations with Hailee about this at the time? Did you ever have any text message conversations with her about this, for example?
Um, no, because she was there in person with me, and every time we would talk about it, she was in person with me. I didn't and I would talk to her about it sometimes when we were gaming together, but again, it was over like a voice call or something like that, so we didn't really text about it. We don't text each other very much. We mostly call each other. We spend most of our time talking to each other like through the phone rather than over text messages because we just don't like using text messages, so.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Is there any contemporaneous, anything from that time period that would support that you and Hailee had discussed this?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to jump forward a little bit.
Okay.
Did you eventually report this to police?
Yes, I did.
When did you do that?
In August of 2021.
Okay. Did the police investigate?
Yes.
Did you complete an interview with them?
Yes.
All right. Do you know if any charges were ever filed?
No, I don't think so. I think that I do know that the criminal case was dropped due to insufficient evidence, but that's all I know.
Now, you had mentioned that you had posted these allegations online, I believe, in May of 2021. Is that what
No.
you had said? I'm
No,
sorry.
it was like the day after I made my police report or the day
Oh,
of I made the police report. It was the same time
same
frame.
thing. Okay.
So it was in August of 2021.
Okay. Now, I'm going to jump to, you had mentioned that you were contacted by a private investigator. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did he
Yes.
tell you that he was trying to serve you with the cease and desist?
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, is it at that time or around then, when did you seek a protective order in Colorado?
I started to seek a protective order around that time because I had been starting to be threatened, stalked, and harassed because of this, because I went public.
Okay. And that Colorado protective order was ultimately dismissed because of jurisdictional issues, is that what you said?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and is that when you filed here in Utah?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Are you aware that Mr. King has obtained a civil stalking injunction against you in Utah?
I was aware, yes.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor. Let me just review my notes. I don't know that I have that many more questions. I'm going to ask one more question about the Colorado protective order.
Okay.
When you obtained that protective order, did you post about it online?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. What did you post online?
I just posted about it, that I had obtained one and that I was under protection of one and that I was hopefully going to be safe and
Did
okay.
you post a copy of the protective order?
An edited version of it, yeah.
What had you edited out?
Important names, addresses, the stake
your
that
name
was
on it?
taking place in it. Huh?
Was your name on the protective order?
No, I had edited my name out.
Okay. You mentioned that you had received a Skype friend request. I noticed it in your earlier exhibits, but I didn't see it in the ones that were just filed. So I know I have seen it before.
Yeah, it should be in the ones that were filed. In the one, at least in the ones that I had given to the courthouse, it should be with those ones. I believe I labeled it as exhibit. I labeled it as exhibit B. It was my exhibit B.
Okay, let me find that real quick. Okay. Do you know what these messages that are underneath the and Your Honor, maybe it's best if I share this, but do you know what these messages that are underneath this Skype request are?
Yeah, those are from months ago. Those have nothing to do with a Skype friend request. Those were very, very old conversation. That's a very old conversation that it was like, I don't even know that because I had gotten the friend request that the date that conversation had happened happened all the way back in 2020, and the Skype friend request didn't come through until, but that was just the last time that conversation had happened, which was all the way back in 2020.
Did you report this attempted contact to the police?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you know if any charges were filed on that?
I don't know,
Okay.
but I do have a report number, I believe, if that's needed.
Your Honor, I think that'll be all my questions for now.
Mr. Erickson, when was the Skype request made?
It was made, I believe it was 3 days after the last hearing, or not last hearing, but the hearing before that. It had been the one in December, so it had been 3 days after, I believe. It had been 3 to 4 days after the hearing that we had that Skype request had come through.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about the video, and then you have the opportunity to give us more information if there's anything you feel like you haven't covered.
Okay.
So the video wasn't marked as a particular exhibit on the flash drive. I'm wondering if, since the other exhibits haven't been offered, if we can just call it Exhibit 1 for you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I have watched the video. I just figured I would disregard it in the event it wasn't put into evidence. Is there any objection, Mr. Hadley, if Petitioner's Exhibit 1 is received as evidence?
Nope, no objection.
All right, so the video is in evidence, and that means I'll consider what I saw.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Erickson, is there anything else about why you need a protective order that you feel like you haven't told us so far?
Did I tell you about the stalking of the people taking pictures of like my friends of all of that? Did I already talk about that? I'm sorry, I'm a little I
I have that in my notes, but if there's something in particular that you feel like you didn't say, I don't want to tell you not to say something.
No, I think I had already told you about the whole taking pictures of me and of my posting my legal name everywhere and all of that. And then I had talked about how they had posted my social media as well and stuff to target harassment towards me, and yeah.
Okay. All right. Is everybody doing okay, or do we need to take a break?
I'm okay.
I'm okay to go forward as long as Mr. Erickson is, but if we need a break, that's fine, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Erickson, if you're ready to proceed, I think this would be the time. I had Ms. Shepherd as your other witness, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you let Ms. Shepherd know it's okay for her to log back in then?
Okay. All right, I let her know. It should only be a second.
When she logs back in, Mr. Erickson, then you will need to question her and she'll need to give answers. It won't be able to be a narrative format like when you testified.
Okay.
Okay?
She should be on her. She should be joining here in any minute now.
Yep, the vagaries of WebEx. It may take just a second.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right, there she is.
Okay. All right, Ms. Shepherd, it is your turn to testify. I'll remind you that you're under oath. So what's going to happen is Mr. Erickson's going to ask you some questions, and then Mr. Hadley will have his turn. Okay, Mr. Erickson, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. When did you meet Jake Hailee?
First time I met Jake would have been mid 2019. It's been a pretty long time, but I know that I didn't meet him until a while after I had met you.
Okay. And what did you observe about the way he acted towards me?
At first I thought everything seemed okay, but then I noticed that there was a lot of kind of controlling type factors. I remember when you cut your hair, he seemed pretty unhappy about it. And there were a lot of times, sorry, it's hard to talk about this kind of thing. There were a lot of times that I would notice you kind of listened to him because you seemed like you were worried what would happen if you didn't.
Okay. And did you come to a gathering at Jake and Melissa's house New Year's Eve of 2019 to 2020?
I did.
Do you remember who all was there that night?
It was you and I, Jake, Melissa, the 3 children, and one other person. I believe it was Jake's brother.
Yeah, I believe that was either Jay or what's his name?
Mr. Erickson, you need to remember to just ask questions.
Okay. Was Jake there the whole night?
Yeah, he never left.
Did you have anything to drink at the party?
I was offered champagne, yes.
Do you remember how many drinks you had?
I believe 1.5, 2.
Okay. Do you remember how many drinks I had?
I can't say for sure, but I know that you were very, very drunk.
Okay. Do you remember who gave us alcohol?
Jake and Melissa.
Okay. What did he say when he gave us the alcohol?
Just kind of, he was really subtle, I guess, low-key about it, it wasn't too big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. Did you see something that concerned you that night?
I did.
What did you see?
You and I were sitting on the couch, and we were talking, and I saw Jake come up to you, and he asked you if you would go downstairs with him, and you said no. You really didn't want to. You wanted to spend time with me. And he kind of grabbed your hand and pulled you off the couch and pulled you downstairs. And that was really concerning to me.
Okay. And did you hear anything that night?
I did.
And what did you hear?
I heard you asking him to stop, saying, "Jake, please stop," crying a lot. I heard grunting and a lot of just really uncomfortable sounds that indicated to me that there was something going on that wasn't particularly okay.
And why didn't you call the police?
I'm personally a victim of multiple rapes myself, and in the moment, I just started to freeze and I didn't know what to do. I was also really, really concerned about the kids. I didn't want to scare them. I wish I could say that I did in, like, the time, but I just couldn't move.
Mm-hmm. And did I ask you not to call the police?
You were scared and you didn't have anywhere to go.
Okay.
Commander, you've received a new message at your private terminal.
Sorry, I had my ringer on for when Luke messaged me.
And what did I look like when I came out of the basement?
You were in different clothes, and your makeup was pretty smeared, because I remember earlier on in the night your makeup was really nice. I had mentioned it to you. But you were in, like, pajamas now instead of, like, your party attire, kind of. And you looked just really distraught.
Mm-hmm. And did you take me down into the basement and talk to me after?
I took you down, and I sat you on your bed, and I took your hands in mine, and I said, something happened that wasn't okay. I explained it to you, and you kind of ignored it at first, but after I talked a little more, you understood.
Mm-hmm. And what exactly can you recall that you said to me?
I said, I used your dead name, and I told you that you had been raped, and I didn't think it was safe for you to stay there.
Okay. And did it take me a little while to sober up so I could take you home?
I ended up staying the night, yeah.
Okay. And then what did we do after?
We mostly talked. We watched, like, some videos and whatnot, but we mostly talked and then just went to bed.
Mm-hmm. And then I took you home very early the next day-ish, sort of. Same day, early morning, correct?
Yeah, it would have probably been the same day if you're looking at it from a technicality.
Okay. And did we make an escape plan?
Yes.
And what was in that escape plan?
To get you out of there as soon as we could, make sure that you had somewhere safe to be and that you wouldn't be followed, harassed, anything.
And did that escape plan include either going back to my mother's or moving in with you and Maddie?
It did, yeah. We had a group chat between you, Maddie, and I where we were looking at houses and sending them to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I believe that's all the questions I have.
Mr. Hadley.
Your Honor, I'll try to keep it short. Hi, Ms. Shepherd. I'm just going to ask you a few questions about that night of December 31st, 2019.
That's fine.
Okay. So you testified that you saw Jake take Luke down to the basement. Is that correct?
Correct.
Where were you when that happened?
I was sitting on the couch in the living room. The living room had the stairs to the basement right by it.
Okay. So you were in the living room of the upper floor. The stairs were right next to you, and you saw him take her downstairs.
The stairs were across from me, but yeah.
Okay. Do you know where he took Luke downstairs?
Into Luke's bedroom.
Okay. How far from the stairs would Luke's bedroom be?
The way that the stairs were, they were a split entry house. Okay. So Luke's room was right here, not very far.
Okay. And you testified you could hear, it sounded like Luke saying stop and grunting from Jake. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was the party still going on at this point, or what was going on at this point?
To an extent, it seemed like the other people in the household just didn't really want to acknowledge it. They were chatting, and there was still a bit of music playing, but I couldn't really pay attention to all that. I was more concerned with what else was happening.
Were you concerned Luke was being raped at that time?
I was.
Did you make any attempt to raise your concern to anybody else or stop it?
No, as I mentioned before, I got very, very frozen in place. It's a trauma response.
Okay. Afterwards, you said you discussed this with Luke and made a safety plan. Is that right?
Correct.
Do you know if any evidence exists, such as text messages or anything, where you two would have discussed this?
I believe if I were to look far enough back in the group chat that we had with the other person, Maddie. I don't think she wants to be involved, but I believe if I looked far enough back in there, I could find it.
Okay, so you think that there is evidence, but don't know for sure.
Correct. But I would be willing to find it if necessary.
Okay. Do you know how long Luke and Jake were still together after that night?
3-4 months.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Erickson, do you have any other questions for this witness?
Yes, I do. Hailee, in the time that I have come out about what happened to me, what have you noticed happening, going on since I came out about what happened?
There's been a lot of harassment from Melissa's supporters just because you had made a public post about it, wanting to kind of steer other people away just to keep them safe. There was a lot of harassment. You've had to change your accounts multiple times just to stay safe. There have been a lot of times that you've reached out to me and told me that you weren't feeling mentally well because of it, that you just felt like everything was falling apart and you couldn't get a break. I can say with confidence I have seen you at the absolute lowest you've ever been because of the backlash from this.
Okay. And what type of harassment would you say that was happening? Did they have...
Your Honor, I will just object as this goes outside the scope of the original direct or my cross. If I'm able to redirect after, I guess that would solve it, but...
I'm certainly happy to give you another opportunity to cross-examine. What he's referring to, Mr. Erickson, is that typically you can only ask questions at this point based on what was asked before. You can't bring up new topics.
Oh, okay.
So if Mr. Hadley is satisfied that he can get to cross-examine about these topics, then maybe he's okay with it. What would you like to do, Mr. Hadley?
That would work for me, Your Honor, as long as I can ask questions again afterwards.
Okay, so you can go ahead and ask the questions, Mr. Erickson, but then Mr. Hadley will get another shot to ask questions of Ms. Shepherd about these issues.
Okay. And Hailee, have I disclosed to you feelings of being suicidal, of how this affected me?
You have. I know that very recently, because of the emotional repercussions of all of this, you did have a temporary stay at a mental health place. I'm sorry, I'm blanking the word. But you did have a temporary stay there. And you've come to me crying more times than I can count.
Okay. And what type of information were these people posting online?
Your dead name, your account information, where to find you, pictures of you, videos of your voice, all that kind of stuff.
And how do you know that this is tied to Jacob and Melissa?
Because all of these people that have posted these things have been very staunch supporters of Jacob and Melissa. A lot of them have like fan art profile pictures of the game that Melissa created, etc.
Okay. And do you believe that Natalie or Melissa herself has been the one giving out the information?
I do, very
Certainly.
certainly.
Speculation, Your Honor.
Sustained. Unless you can prove how she knows that it was Ms. King who was doing it, she doesn't get to speculate about it.
Mm-hmm. What type of information was being posted about you?
I've had photos of my accounts, my personal accounts posted, photos of my vehicle, photos of my face, photos of my boyfriend, my phone number, my legal address, my place of work. Basically everything except for my social security number.
And did you have to file a trespass order against Jacob's wife, Melissa, due to harassment?
I did. She came into my store on December 29th. I work at GameStop. She came into my store on December 29th, browsed around for a bit. I kept seeing her looking at me. There was another person working at the time. I wanted them to take the transaction just to avoid any issues. Unfortunately, I had to answer the phone, and I do believe that she heard me say my name, because after that I got a very, very weird phone call asking for the name I have been going by publicly for this case.
Okay.
Your Honor, I am going to object just to the relevance. Now we're getting into two non-parties, Melissa King and Hailee Shepherd, and interactions between them. I'm having a hard time seeing the relevance back to this protective order.
Mr. Erickson, you have got to keep in mind that this is based on the allegations of domestic violence and abuse, and I think Mr. Hadley's right. This doesn't really prove one way or the other about what happened to you.
Okay. I was just bringing it up because because of trying to intimidate Hailee, since it is Jacob's wife.
So I think that it's a little too attenuated to be relevant.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have, I believe.
Sorry, my dog started barking. I had to tell her to stop.
It's okay.
Mr. Hadley.
I'll keep my questions really limited. I know the majority of the questions you were just asked related to the allegation of ongoing harassment stemming from Jacob and Melissa. This goes to one of the objections I made, but do you have any proof that Jacob or Melissa directed people to harass you or to harass you?
I do not have direct proof. However, as far as I'm concerned, the only way that any of these people that have been coming after me would know my name is if Melissa had said it in her public Discord server. I have been going by a completely anonymous name for this entire thing, and my actual name has been used multiple times.
You said it's a public Discord server?
Yes, it's for the video game she created.
Okay, could anyone get access to that server?
When you join, you have to give your ID, I believe, to make sure that you're not a minor.
Okay, but besides that, could anyone get access to that server?
Yes.
Okay, so if your name was posted on there, anyone could go and check and find it.
Right, but my name shouldn't have been posted on there in the first place, as I have a right to anonymity.
Okay, but if it had been posted there, you'd be able to just check and verify that, correct?
If I wanted to join, but I don't.
Okay.
I feel it would just cause issues. I don't want to stir the pot.
You said you reported this to the police, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I have been to the police twice.
Ms. Shepherd, yeah, just make sure that you just answer the question so that Mr. Hadley can ask his next one.
My bad.
Okay, so you've been to the police twice about this. Do you know if any charges were filed?
For the most recent part, no. They told me that I don't have enough evidence.
Okay, no further questions here.
Mr. Erickson, do you have any further questions for Ms. Shepherd?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Shepherd, you're all finished. There is a slim possibility, I suppose, that you may get called again on a rebuttal, and so I'm going to ask you to log back out, please.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Erickson, is there any other evidence on your side?
Well, I have the picture, like the stuff that I had put in as evidence. And it was there is a medical document that I had inserted as evidence. That was my Exhibit J. That talks about one of the times. Basically, it was the medical document of me going in because I had been experiencing such painful urination that I had talked about earlier, where I was talking about the dysuria after he had done stuff to me and had been very violent towards me. But yeah, I have that. And then I have a conversation between me and Jacob, which I listed as Exhibit A, where I had talked to him about feeling in pain, where I had mentioned that I had been hurting when I peed, and I was expressing discomfort. And he had claimed that it had been probably because of a new position, and not direct because of his harm that he had done to me. And there was also Exhibit C, where their daughter had attacked me publicly, and they had sent their daughter after me, and that was Exhibit C. And then Exhibit E was proof that Hailee had been there that night with me, and the date is on that one. And then there's also the date of the video that had been recorded, which says January 1st, 2020 at 1:27 in the morning. And they and there had been a picture that she had captioned as Cass is so drunk, which was Cass was another name that I went by when I was figuring myself out, which was dated January 1st, 2020 at 1:33 a.m. And all of that had happened after the rape had taken place. And then I had the proof of the PI coming to harass me, which was Exhibit H, where he had texted me a couple times, and he had never indicated to me that there was something. It was like he had indicated to me that it was something that was supposed to help me, that he was he was on my side, that it was going to protect me. He said that he said, and I quote, "It'll protect you. You know, you just need this letter." And then he showed up at my mother's house, and that
Object to any quote, Your Honor. I don't see that in the text. Otherwise, that would come as hearsay.
Let's see if we can maybe cut to the chase here. So you're asking that all of the exhibits that you submitted be accepted as evidence. Is that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hadley, which of them, if any, do you have objections to? And let's see if we can go through them.
I'll try to go through them one at a time, Your Honor. I don't have any objection to Exhibit A.
Okay, Exhibit A is received.
I don't have any objection to Exhibit B.
Okay, Exhibit B is received.
I do have objections to Exhibit C. I question the relevance of this exhibit, where it's my client's minor daughter who's reaching out here, and I also am going to object on hearsay.
Okay. Mr. Erickson, remember we talked about the hearsay rules when somebody else is saying something? Statements that you and Mr. King make are different because you're the parties to the action, but these appear to be things that their daughter said. Is there a reason why they would not be hearsay?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay, so I'm not going to receive Exhibit C then, both on relevance and hearsay grounds.
Exhibit D, I believe, was the video, Your Honor.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think I made a mistake there when I would have marked it as petitioners 1. So we'll fix that, and the flash drive, which has been accepted, will be petitioners Exhibit D.
Okay. Exhibit E, I am going to object just on foundation grounds. I'm not sure who took these photos.
I did.
Okay. Well,
Does
then
that satisfy the foundation question, or is there
that satisfies it for D, Your Honor. I won't object, or to E, sorry. I won't object to that one. Exhibit F, I still have a foundational
I gotta wave my
issue,
magic wand on it. Exhibit E is received.
Okay, sorry, Your Honor. Exhibit E, no objection. Exhibit F, I do have an objection. I'm not sure, again, on a foundational ground of who took it, but where it says Cass is so drunk, I'm not sure if that's coming from Luke, who took the photo, but I might have a hearsay objection on this one of who's saying that.
The person who took the photo was Hailee, my witness.
I mean, I won't object, Your Honor, just so we don't have to recall her. I think that's fine. She's already testified she's there, so I'll leave that one. G, I won't object to.
Exhibit G is received.
H, I won't object to.
Exhibit H is received.
No objection to I.
Exhibit I is received.
J, I am going to object to on hearsay, and we don't have the record keeper here to actually question.
Okay. Now, Mr. Erickson, this is the medical record Exhibit J, and for a record like this to be admitted, then there typically has to be an affidavit from the person who maintains the medical record to testify that it's an accurate record, that it was maintained according to business practices, et cetera. There's a whole list of factors.
Okay.
Without that evidence, I'm not going to receive Exhibit J, but your testimony about what happened remains.
Okay.
So I think where we're at then is we've admitted everything except Exhibit J and Exhibit C. Does that match the tally that everybody's got?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Erickson, any other evidence from your side?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's take a 5-minute break just so everybody can stretch. And then Mr. Hadley will come back. We've got just under 2 hours left. We'll see. I'm not sure if we really need all of your witnesses, but I don't mean to curtail you either. So we'll...
No, I've already told one of them to go home. I'm trying to cut down as best I can, Your Honor. So
I appreciate that. Okay, let's take 5 minutes and then we'll be back and ready to pick up with Mr. Hadley's side of the case.
thank you.
Let's make sure we've got Mr. King back and ready to go. Mr. King, are you there? All right, we'll give him just a few minutes then, and as soon as he's back, we'll be ready to start.
My apologies, Your Honor.
Oh, you're just fine. All right, we are back on the record now in Erickson versus King. We have both parties present. Mr. Hadley is here on behalf of Mr. King. Mr. Hadley, is Mr. King going to testify first, I think we said?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. King, I'll just remind you you're under oath. Mr. Hadley, go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right. Jacob, I'm just going to kind of try to cut to the chase a little bit here. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with the petitioner, Luke.
Yes, Luke approached Melissa, I think it was just before April or early April of 2018, expressing an interest in her and everything like that. Her and was communicated about it a few days later after she expressed that interest, and then floated the idea around about, well, would you be interested in? All three of us dated.
Excuse me just a minute. Mr. King, I'm having trouble hearing you. You're just a little soft. Is there any way you could move closer to your microphone, please?
Yes, is that better?
Oh, that is better. Thank you.
My apologies. So yeah, it started out as an online relationship, and after a few months, we finally made contact and continued to progress the relationship for another few months, and then I believe it was in July of 2018. It wasn't really quite the right fit for Melissa, so she broke up with Luke, and I continued my relationship on with the blessing of Melissa, and we dated until the end of March 2020, if I have my dates correct.
So did you and Melissa have sort of an open relationship, or?
Yes, we did. We were stepping into the world of polyamory.
Okay. Did you have a sexual relationship with Luke?
I did, yes.
Okay. In the course of that relationship, did Luke express interest to you in things like BDSM, bondage, things like that?
She had, yes.
Okay. Was that incorporated into your sex life?
On occasion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. What would happen? A couple of questions about the things that I think you've already heard today, but what would happen if, for example, you wanted to have sex and Luke did not?
That would pretty much be the end of it. Might be a little disappointed, but other than that, not that big of a deal.
Would you ever lose your temper?
No, not really.
Okay. Ask you this, Your Honor, if I could get sharing possibilities just so I can introduce some of my exhibits, would that be possible?
Or I don't know if you still have it, but I'll have my clerk give you.
It doesn't let me right now. Yeah.
Ursula should switch you over momentarily.
Yep, I've got it. Well, that's coming up, Jake. Let me just ask you a couple of questions. Did you and Luke message each other over Skype Messenger?
We did, yes.
And was your name on Skype Messenger Poxbox81?
Yes, it was.
Was Luke's name Nuka-tastic?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to share with you what's been marked as Exhibit D3. I'll just ask, do you recognize what I'm showing to you?
Yes, that's a record of our Skype conversations.
Okay. So this was a conversation between you and Luke?
Yes, it was.
Do you know about when this conversation might have occurred?
I have to read it. I believe this would be towards the beginning of the relationship. I'm not 100%. We had so many conversations.
Okay. Do you have an approximate time frame of when it might have occurred?
Let's see. My apologies. I just got to read through it and see.
That's okay. Take as long as you need.
Oh, my mistake. Yes, this was about midway through our relationship, I believe.
Okay, so midway through your relationship, where would that put it as an approximate date?
I would imagine during the summer of 2019, I'd imagine. Maybe the fall.
Okay.
I can't recall exactly.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd move to admit Exhibit D3.
Mr. Erickson, is there any objection?
Sorry, I was muted. No, not at this time.
Exhibit D3 is received.
Jacob, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to read off of here, and if you'll just confirm for me if this is what was said. Nuka-tastic, is that Luke?
Yes.
Okay. The first line is Nuka-tastic says, I'm really upset right now. And then did you respond by saying, oh, why is that?
Yes.
Okay. Nuka-tastic says, quote, my fucking period started. It's 2 weeks early. Did you respond by saying, yeah, that does suck?
I had.
Okay. I'm going to skip down just a couple of lines. Nuka-tastic, it looks like, says, I'm still going to try and do something for you. I'm sorry. Did you respond by saying, nothing to be sorry for, love, it happens?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was this Luke telling you that she did not want to have sex with you?
Yes.
Okay. Was this typical of when that would occur in your relationship?
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
Okay. Was this a typical response for you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you about the night of this rape allegation, December 31st, 2019. Do you remember that night?
I do remember some parts of it.
Can you tell me a little bit of what was going on that night?
Yeah, let's see. I picked up my friend Ryan earlier that day, and then we had a small party, small gathering put together. We had snacks, treats, some drinks, non-alcoholic and alcoholic. As far as attendees that night goes, we had myself, Melissa, my spouse, Jason, her brother, Annabelle, which is my daughter, Ryan Brown, that's my good friend, and then Luke and their friend Hailee Shepherd. Apologize.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, can you please describe for me a little bit of the layout of your home?
Yes, on the southwest corner of my home is the living room. It's typical split level. We have the living room laid out there, and then located at the center of the house, we have a stairwell. One flight goes upstairs, one flight goes downstairs. And then to the north of that is 2 bedrooms. We have mine and Melissa's bedroom on the upper floor, and then Luke's bedroom was on the lower floor. And then if you go east of that, you have my oldest daughter's bedroom that was right next to Luke's. You have another bathroom. This is downstairs, of course, and then a washroom. And on the north end of the basement is Jason's room, located right under the living room. And then going back upstairs, of course, you have a bathroom, kitchen, and what was my 2 younger daughters' bedroom on the northeast corner. It was kind of a messy layout, but yeah.
Who's Jason?
And Jason is Melissa's brother.
Okay. And who's Ryan?
Ryan is my good friend from high school.
Okay. And Jason was staying with you at this time?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit C. And Your Honor, I apologize. I think one written portion of the exhibit that I won't be seeking to introduce also made its way in here. I will just be seeking to introduce the pictures. And so I can remove that when we produce hard copies to the court. But I'll just ask you, Jake, I'll need to rotate this actually. Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, it's of my lower stairwell.
Okay. I'm going to show you the next one, which I think is oriented the other way. Let me rotate it back. Do you recognize this?
Yes, it's my upper stairwell.
Okay. Do you recognize this?
Yes, it's my living room.
Okay. And do you recognize this?
It's the other end of my living room where the couch is located, standing in the dining room area.
Okay. And let me rotate this one. Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, that's at the foot of the lower staircase. There's a partition wall dividing the hallway into 2 separate hallways.
Okay, so this is a view of your basement?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would move to admit the pictures that are in Exhibit C.
Is there any objection, Mr. Erickson?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit C is received.
Okay, so I'm going to go back into talking a little bit about that night of December 31st, 2019. Tell me a little bit more of what happened that night. So you were having a party?
Yes. We had a party, a nice little gathering. Pretty much spent the night just having drinks, talking. We had music going. Everyone was mixing and mingling in between the living room, and then we'd go outside on occasion to have a cigarette. And then the night continued through until the ball drop. We had sparkling cider for everybody because we have several people that don't drink alcohol in our home. And then after the ball dropped, we sort of milled around for a little while and talked, and then eventually everyone just started going their separate ways, going to bed.
Okay. You said you had sparkling cider. Did you also have alcohol available?
I did, yes.
Okay. So people could choose whether they wanted sparkling cider or alcohol. It was available for everyone there?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any interactions with Luke that night?
Oh, we talked on and off, like yes, normally usual relationship things. I believe we may have had sexual contact that night. I can't recall, but I'm leaning more towards that we had.
So you think you had sex that night?
Yes.
Okay. What do you remember about this sexual contact?
I don't really remember. There's nothing that really stands out to me. That was an event that was over 2 years ago, so my memory's a little hazy on a lot of details of that night, just small things that pop up here and there.
Was there anything significant about that night to you?
No, I mean, frankly, the only standout of that night is my friend and I discovered pickle juice helps cut the edge off of alcohol. But other than that, I really can't think of anything that stands out in particular besides any other New Year's or any other night.
Did you notice any change in your relationship with Luke after that night?
No, not much.
How long did you and Luke stay together after that?
Almost 4 months.
4 months after that. Okay. Going to what happened after you and Luke broke up? Did you have any more interaction with her?
We did. We talked on occasion. Occasionally, she'd message me or I messaged her, just, hi, how you doing? How are things going?
Yeah. I mean, was it ever hostile? Did you guys ever have bad interactions?
No.
Okay. Did Luke ever become hostile towards you?
I didn't really figure it as hostile. There was a bit of an abrasive message when they said there was things that I was okay with back in a relationship that I'm not now. I want to cut off ties and contact, in which case I obliged, apologized if I made them feel uncomfortable at any point in time, but I respected their request.
When did you find out that Luke had accused you of rape?
It was fall of last year, I think September.
Okay. How did you find out?
It was posted online, and there was hashtags of it connecting to our game, our company, and apologize, vibration there. There's hashtags. It was mostly on Twitter, and then with a link to Google Docs and everything like that. They're connected to our Twitter, our I think Melissa's personal account, my wife's, and pretty much whatever public tag we had. And that's how we found out about them.
I'm going to take a little bit of a step back from the chronological order of things and just ask you to tell me a little bit about your business, this game.
Yes, we have an illustration company. Melissa is an illustrator, so we do drawings, digital and hand drawings and that. And then we've moved into video game development a few years ago. I can't quite recall the exact date. I think we began moving into it January, I believe, 2019. I'm not 100%.
Yeah. Did Luke ever do any work for your company?
No, not really. Everything was handled on Melissa's side with her and her staff and all that. They had indicated that they wanted to do a voice of one of our characters. We floated around the idea, but really didn't ascertain it. We weren't at that level at the time anyways, to where we were recording voice actors. So no, they really haven't done any work.
Okay. When these accusations surfaced, I mean, did it impact your company?
It did.
How so?
There was a lot of folks that were confused, a lot of them that were scared, a lot of them that were nervous. So our donation list dropped. We've seen a 30% reduction in the period of 3 months, which is pretty substantial because that was money for the game to develop the company and everything like that. We had a lot of other content creators that were huge fans of our game and development and everything like that, did a lot of content on that. But then after the accusations broke, they were insistently harassed to stop creating content on that, and which we can understand, to protect their brand and their company, they sort of stopped, which was a huge loss in advertising.
Did you attempt to tell Luke to stop making these accusations?
No. Oh, well, we hired a law firm. My apologies. I thought you meant publicly, but we did hire a law firm, of course, to try to draft a cease and desist and serve them with that, so that to give them the opportunity to pull these things offline and to give us the opportunity to move forward creating our product.
Outside of that, did you make any attempts to contact or locate Luke?
No.
Okay. Were you ever contacted by the police because of the accusations?
Yes, several times.
Okay. Let's talk about the first time that it happened. What happened? First tell me, when were you contacted the first time by police?
Oh, I believe it was late fall of last year. We had two detectives on our door. We answered the door, and they says, "Do you know a Hope Erickson?" We said, "Yes, we do." And they went on to explain, it's like, well, there's some questions we have for you. Would you be willing to answer them? We said, yes, of course. And we went through and did an interview with him there on the front doorstep and answered whatever questions we could.
So did you cooperate fully with their requests?
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, was this before or after you had hired before or after you had hired my law firm to help you with the cease and desist?
It was after.
After. So did you already have an attorney at that time?
Yes.
Okay. Was your attorney present for that police interview?
No, he was not.
No. So you spoke to the police on your own, just you and Melissa?
Yes.
Okay. Were you contacted by police again after that?
Yes, we were to be served with a protection order.
Okay. Do you know, was that the protective order for this case?
No, it was for one in Colorado.
Okay. Did you end up fighting that protective order in Colorado?
We had.
What was the ultimate outcome of that?
It was dismissed.
Okay. And then afterwards, were you served with this protective order?
Yeah, well, relating to this one, yes.
Right. Okay. I understand we've had a little bit of a complicated history getting here. Have you been contacted by police outside of service of those protective orders?
Myself, well, I was contacted by an officer trying to get a hold of Melissa, explaining that she's been trespassed from a video game shop in the local area, yes.
What did the officer tell her? Or what was your understanding of what was told?
Mr. Hadley, I'm going to insert myself. That's clearly hearsay.
No, that's fine, Your Honor. I realized when I said it. All right. Were you ever contacted by police in relation to this protective order?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware that there was an accusation that you had violated the temporary protective order in this case?
Yes, I apologize. I forgot about that one. Yeah, we did have an officer stop by after the first attempted meeting, asking if we had contacted Luke through Skype.
Okay. Did you ever attempt to contact Luke through Skype?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Did you check your Skype notifications to see if you had accidentally tried to contact Luke?
I did. I was so confused by it. I went back to my notifications. We tried going through every route that this could possibly come through us, whether it was just a glitch from Skype, whether it was just going back and back checking for facts, and we couldn't find any physical reach out from my end.
I'm going to share my screen one last time. Your Honor, this exhibit again got tied to something else. I'm not sure what happened there, but I would not be moving to admit the first page. I would just be concerned with the second one.
What exhibit designation is this, please?
Exhibit D1. So if you have my full document, it'd be on page 39. And Jacob, I'll just ask you if you recognize this first.
I do. That's my Skype notifications as of a few days ago. Or no, about a week ago.
Okay. And what is this showing?
It's showing my contacts, who I've spoke to so far. The top one is Fubu. That's my spouse. Melissa King, that's another one. That was us testing to see if there was any mix-up or anything like that. So she tried reaching me out there with a new account. And then the third one down it was called the Nerd Nest. It was a platform where all three of us, Melissa, Luke, and I would talk. And then we have, that's Luke. And then Melissa King at the end of it. That's from an old Skype account she had.
Okay. Your Honor, I would move just to admit just the second page of Exhibit D1.
Is there any objection, Mr. Erickson?
No.
Okay, second page of Exhibit D1 is received.
After let me ask you this. While this has been ongoing, have the problems with your video game company ceased, or are they still ongoing?
Well, they're ongoing. We've seen some improvement. Some things coming back, but yeah, they're ongoing.
Okay. Have you received any kind of threats or harassment?
Oh, yes, a lot.
Okay, can you talk to me a little bit about what those constituted?
They are from those that sort of believe the other side of the allegations. They are just usually either aspects sort of just labeling me as pedophile or a rapist or whatever. We've had TikToks, tags going on Twitter. We've had basically every social media platform we've had been a part of. Our sister and t-shirt supplier, former t-shirt supplier, was also harassed on her Facebook through her company. We've just dealt with a lot of random people.
Did you seek a civil stalking injunction to try and get the harassment to stop?
We have.
Okay, and were you granted that civil stalking injunction?
We were.
Okay. That'll be all my questions at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Erickson, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Go ahead.
All right. Jacob, when we first met, was I 17 and you were 35 through 34, maybe 36, around in that age range?
Yes.
Okay. At one point, Melissa indicate that she was not interested in keeping the relationship going, but you indicated that you were?
The relationship with you?
Yes.
Yes.
I lived with you and Melissa for about 1.5 to 2 years.
You mean to make sure to ask a question.
Did I? Sorry. Did I live with you and Melissa for about 1.5 to 2 years?
You had.
And did you give me alcohol while I was under the age of 21?
I did.
Okay. You mentioned that you believed that we did have intercourse the night of New Year's Eve. Do you know how many drinks I had that night?
No, I don't.
Did you provide me with alcohol that night?
I did.
Was I drunk that night?
You were.
About what time would you say that you had sex with me?
Oh, I can't recall. I just believe that I had.
Okay. But I was intoxicated and drunk that night, correct?
You were during the night. I don't know if it's during the time that we had intercourse or not.
In the time that Hailee was over, was I drunk?
Yes.
Okay, that's all my questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Hadley, anything further for this witness?
No, Your Honor. I think we can move on to the next one.
Certainly. Who's next?
Next, I would ask for Ryan Brown. We could get him on. I think, Jacob, if you could reach out to him.
Just message him. He should be along shortly.
Looks like he's here.
Mr. Brown, are you ready, sir?
Yes, I am.
All right, let me have you turn on your camera, please. Thank you. Mr. Hadley's going to start by asking you some questions, sir. Mr. Hadley?
All right, Mr. Brown, hopefully you can hear me okay. If you'd first just start by telling me how you know the two parties in this case, Jake and Luke. I believe you're muted, Ryan.
Once I moved back into this area around.
Right. I'll ask you to start over. You were muted for a short portion of that, if you don't mind restarting your answer.
Yeah, so I've known Jake since high school. We grew up together. And besides that, Luke, I didn't meet until, what was it, 2020?
Okay. Were you at a New Year's Eve party at Jake's house at the end of 2019?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember if Luke was there as well?
Yes.
Who all do you remember being there?
I remember Jake, Jason, Melissa, Cass, Harley, and I think Melissa Joy dropped in for a little bit.
When you
I
say
remember
Cass, was that a
What?
nickname for Luke?
Yeah, for Luke. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Tell me a little bit about what you remember about that night.
So Jake picked me up about 4:00 that day. We went to his store, showed up back at the house about 5:00. Then Jake had to go pick up Harley from Brigham City. So he left me at the house and I just hung out there, and they went to go pick up Harley, Jake, Melissa, and Luke.
Okay. Did they come back after picking up Harley?
Yep, it took them about 45 minutes. It was a quick there and back, which I do that drive all the time now, and it's about 45 minutes.
Okay, what happened next once they got back?
So they got back, the party kind of got started and stuff. Jake started pouring drinks for people, getting me a drink of wine and stuff to celebrate. We got food set up, things like that. We were just trying to host a fun party.
Okay. Do you remember if Jake and Luke ever left or let me ask you this first. Where was the party mainly going on at within Jake's house?
The kitchen and living room area,
Okay.
which is
Do you remember-
upstairs.
Okay. Do you remember if Jake and Luke ever left that area together?
Once or twice, I believe I saw them both leave the area.
Okay. Did you ever see Luke come back in pajamas?
I believe Luke came back in pajamas at the very, very end of the night
Okay.
after
Did
she
you know-
got sick or something.
Oh, okay. Did you notice anything different about her when she came back?
No, she seemed normal,
Okay.
like she was having a good time. Everyone was just normal. It was a regular party, in my opinion.
Did you notice anything unusual at all about that night?
No, nothing that I can recall was odd or off about that night. Didn't hear any noises to, we listened to loud music You couldn't really hear anything. It was a party setting.
Okay.
We talked loud. People walked in and out of the house, going to the balcony for smokes and stuff. You know, general party. No one acted out of the ordinary ever. It was very casual and people just walking back and forth doing things.
Did you find out later at any point that Luke had accused Jake of raping her?
No, it was never brought up that night, never said.
I mean, have you heard that since then?
I've heard that since then, and I was shocked because, I mean, I was there. I think I would have heard something like that. I never saw Jake leave with her for more than a couple of minutes and come back.
Okay.
So in my opinion, it was
would that be consistent with your memory of that night?
Yeah.
But let me rephrase the question. Would Luke's accusation that she was raped by Jake be consistent with how you remembered that night?
No.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Erickson, do you have any questions for Mr. Brown?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Ryan, would you say that did I get drunk that night?
I believe you did. You were at least intoxicated.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember about how many drinks I had?
That's hard to say because you were picking up cups, I remember, that were set down and drinking from them.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows how much you had or what strength it was or anything like that.
Would you say that I was intoxicated?
Yeah, I would say you were intoxicated.
About what time would you say that the party started and the drinking started and everybody really started to get drunk?
Probably 9 p.m.
Okay. So probably around like midnight, like New Year's Eve, when the ball dropped and everything. I was probably pretty drunk, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Hadley, anything further from Mr. Brown?
No, Your Honor. We can move on to the next witness. This will be our last one.
Mr. Brown, you are finished. Thank you so much for your time today, sir.
Thank you for your time. You have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Mr. Hadley, who's next? /last.
Calling Jason Pippin.
All right, we'll have Mr. King let Mr. Pippin know that we're ready. As soon as he's on, we'll pick back up again. All right, looks like we have Mr. Pippin on. Could you please turn on your camera, sir? Great, thank you. Mr. Hadley's going to start by asking you some questions. Mr. Hadley, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jason, I'm first just going to ask you how you know the parties in this case, Jake and Luke.
Jake, I met him a long time ago when I started working for Lagoon.
Okay. And what about Luke?
Luke.
Luke has been known as Hope in the past, or you may know them as Cass.
I met her through Jacob as an acquaintance or friend.
Okay. Let me ask you, were you invited to a New Year's Eve party at the end of the year of 2019?
Well, yes, I was.
Okay. Where was that at?
It was over at the house.
Whose house was it?
Jacob's house.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that night and what you remember.
best my memory, honestly, I was just going back and forth up the stairs and downstairs, and from come upstairs to get a snack or two, or then going downstairs to my bedroom and playing a few video games.
So you were living at the house at that time?
Yes,
Okay. Where was your bedroom located?
downstairs in the basement, next to the stairs.
Okay. So if you were to go down the stairs, so describe to me a little bit of the layout of this house. So first, let me ask you, was it a split level home?
Yes, it is.
Okay. If you went down the stairs, how would you get to your room?
Down the stairs, hang a right, and it'll be the second door on the right.
Okay. Was Luke staying there at that time as well?
Yes, she was.
Okay. I want to make sure I keep it straight. What name did you know Luke by at that time?
That time I knew her by the name of Cass.
Cass. Okay. I'll try to use that just to keep this moving. So Cass was staying at Jacob's home at that time as well, correct?
Correct.
Where was Cass's bedroom?
Hers was down the hall from mine.
Could you describe a little bit more for me? When you say down the hall, how far apart would your bedroom doors be?
At the other end of the hall, but you have to walk right by my door in order to get to it.
Okay, so if someone were trying to get to Cass's bedroom, they'd have to pass your door, and then would hers be the next one?
The layout downstairs is a little weird, but there's a wall. Which is why you have to hang a right in order to get to my room. As soon as you get to my bedroom door, you have to turn left, then left again, and continue to walk all the way down to the end of the hall. So in order to get to her bedroom, you have to pass right by mine.
Okay. All right. Tell me a little bit more. You said you were just going back and forth that night of New Year's Eve, right? Grabbing snacks?
Yes.
Do you remember anything significant happening that night?
No, sir, I do not.
Did you hear anything coming from Cass's room?
No.
Did you ever notice if Jake came down to Cass's room that night?
No, he was upstairs the entire night.
Okay. So you never heard anybody go down to Cass's room?
No.
Okay. I just want to ask real quick, who do you remember was at this New Year's Eve party? I don't remember if I asked you that.
You haven't yet.
Okay.
Well, it was me, Jacob, Jake's friend Ryan, Cass, Melissa. Can't remember if Annabelle was there or not.
Okay. Did you notice anything? Was there anything that stuck out to you about that night with any of the participants of the party?
Nah, nothing stuck out that was unordinary.
Okay. I'll pose my questions there, Your Honor.
Mr. Erickson, do you have any questions for Mr. Pippin?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. Jason, when you would come upstairs and I was up there, did you see me intoxicated? Did you see me drink any drinks?
No, I have not.
Okay. And when you were downstairs, were you playing video games?
Yes.
You're playing video games. Did you have a headset on?
No.
Okay. Those are all my questions, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Hadley?
Just one. While you were playing video games downstairs, was your door open or closed?
My door's closed.
Okay. That's it, Your Honor.
Right. Anything further on that particular point, Mr. Erickson?
No, Your Honor.
Right. Mr. Pippin, the ordeal is over. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
You're welcome.
Right. Mr. Hadley, we're doing much better on time.
Yeah, that's all of my witnesses, and I've admitted all of the exhibits that I plan to try to admit, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Erickson, do you have any evidence that you want to submit in rebuttal?
No, Your Honor, I don't have any further evidence. All of my evidence was in my exhibits.
Okay. Do we need to take a break before closing argument, or are we ready to go?
Do you mind if we take a break?
Good. We're doing quite well on time. Why don't we take 10 minutes? Everybody can get their arguments together. We'll come back at 10 minutes after 4 for closing argument. Mr. King, since your wife didn't end up testifying, if she wants to come in to listen to the closing argument, she would be welcome to.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Erickson, you get to go first, then Mr. Hadley, and then because you bear the burden of proof, you get to go last. Let me just make sure to caution you, which is sometimes something that's a little different for people who represent themselves, to make sure you're not giving me any new information at this part of the case. This is just the time when the two of you get to argue based on the evidence that I've received about what the ruling should be.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay. So, how do I start this? I believe that, I'm in danger. I believe that, Jake's past history of what he's done to me, of, what he's admitted. Everyone admitted that I was drunk that night. I was too drunk to consent that night. He admitted to having sexual intercourse with me that night. Again, I was drunk. I was too drunk to consent. And I think that my fear is completely justified because of him sending PIs after me, him trying to reach out to me over Skype. And I'm tired of being scared. I just want to be safe. I just want to move on with my life. I want the space to be able to heal and from my trauma and be able to get that groundwork in so that I can be safe in spaces that I feel comfortable in. And I want to be safe, and I'm scared. And I appreciate having the time to be able to talk about what happened to me and be able to present it to the court. And I think that my biggest worry is that he has full capability to come out here. He makes thousands upon thousands of dollars from that video game that they make. They fly, they travel all the time. Like, they have full opportunity to come out here and come find me. And I'm terrified of that. They are fully capable of that. And I'm terrified. And some of the community spaces that we share, I go to conventions. They also go to conventions. I'm scared that what if something happens there? What if they go after me? I am very terrified. We have some spaces that are shared, and I don't want to be scared to leave my house. I don't want to be scared to go to school anymore. I don't want to have police officers walking me to and from my car and from every class I go to. I'm tired of being so scared of going everywhere. And I think that with a protective order over me, it would help me feel a lot less scared, and it would make me feel a lot safer. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson. Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, although this case has been filed as a protective order, we find the context of the case and this request for a protective order against my client, Jacob King, ironic, because we don't believe that he's ever been the one of these parties to seek to attack the other. Rather, we find that Mr. Erickson has sought to repeatedly attack and harass my client and his family through online allegations that have added fuel to a fire of an online mob that has attacked my client, his family, and his business. And so it's our position today, Your Honor, that this protective order is being used in a way that's not traditional. We believe it's being used as a sword rather than a shield. And we believe that it's been requested to give validity to the ongoing harassment that my client has been subjected to. My client has not sought any contact with the petitioner since their relationship ended in 2020, with the one exception that I'll discuss in just a few moments. However, The harassment that my client, his family, and his business have been subjected to are the basis for a civil stalking injunction that my client obtained against Luke in case number 220900465, which became permanent on March 1st of this year. However, I know that the court's not only concerned with potential contact between the parties. This protective order is brought under Utah Code 78B7601, which allows for a protective order to issue when any cohabitant has been abused or to whom there is a substantial likelihood that abuse is going to occur. I believe based on the stalking injunction and the fact that my client has not sought any contact with Luke since their relationship ended, based on those things, that the second prong of that analysis is not particularly relevant, because I don't believe there's anything to show that there's a substantial likelihood that abuse is going to occur. I'll also note that my client is not even aware of Luke's whereabouts, which I think is for the best. So given that I don't believe there's any substantial likelihood of abuse, I think there's only two things left to address from the hearing today that may give rise to a protective order. So I'll address them one at a time. The first is the allegation that my client tried to contact Luke via Skype Messenger while this case was ongoing. It's my client's testimony that this absolutely did not happen. Given the effect that this case and the allegations have had on my client's business, he's been extremely cautious during the duration of this protective order. He testified that he did not attempt to contact Luke, and he's shown his Skype history. This matter has been investigated by the police, and no charges have been brought. And so we ask that the court find that no violation of the temporary order occurred that would require a permanent order to enter. The second allegation, however, is the rape allegation. First, I'll address the more general rape allegation that my client would either throw fits or otherwise coerce the petitioner into unwanted sex. I believe we've shown that there's no evidence to support this allegation that my client would throw temper tantrums or otherwise make the petitioner participate in unwanted sex. We've also pointed to evidence of at least one instance, of which we believe there are many, Your Honor, but we've provided evidence of at least one instance where my client graciously, where my client had a very normal reaction when the petitioner had told him she did not want to have sex. He did not throw a fit. He did not attempt to make any kind of threats or anything. And, Your Honor, I think the evidence in this case in large part speaks for itself. If you look through the text messages that were exchanged between the two, they're almost all amicable. I don't think that there was any instance that can be pointed to of hostility from my client towards Luke. But the specific allegation I want to talk about comes from the night of December 31st, 2019. Now, there was no evidence offered to corroborate this. There's no text messages. There's nothing to show that this happened side by side. So the only evidence to discuss is the testimony. Now, obviously, we dispute Luke's testimony of the night in question, but to go to third-party testimony, I'll talk about Hailee's. Hailee testified that although that she could hear the rape as it was ongoing, she did not stop it. Now, I'll also point out that I think that part is extremely problematic, that Hailee is the only one of several witnesses that were here today who testified that she could hear the rape while it was ongoing, despite not being in the basement where the rape allegedly occurred. The one person who was in the basement testified that he couldn't hear anything. Now, as suspect as that is, I find it more suspect that given the relationship between Hailee and Luke as close friends, I find it odd that although they even developed a safety and escape plan for Luke, or whatever the plan was titled, there was no concurrent record of them discussing what had happened to Luke. There's nothing to show that they had ever discussed what had happened to Luke that night, which I think would give some sort of corroborative evidence to support this claim that this happened that night, Your Honor, but there's nothing. Conversely, we do have, we do have witnesses from that night who say that nothing happened, and we've heard the testimony of many that nothing changed after that night. Nobody else viewed that night as to be of significance, which I think is more in line with what the evidence shows. Further, we know that Luke stayed in a relationship with Jake for several months after that happened. And even if you review Luke's exhibits for the text messages ending their relationship completely, not just their romantic relationship, but any contact between them, Jacob was understanding, and it appears that everything ended amicably. Then I want you to think about all the other witnesses that were there that night, Your Honor. Jacob denies that it happened. Ryan and Jason denied that it happened. So from our perspective, this is not like many rape allegation cases, this is not just a he said, she said. So even setting aside the problems of the narrative that I believe was presented by Hailee and Luke, there are multiple witnesses who have disputed those allegations. So simply put, I don't think the evidence rises to the level of saying that by a preponderance of the evidence that a rape occurred that night. Now, I want to turn quickly to even my client's involvement with the police. My client had a law firm on retainer at the time that he willfully chose to speak to the police. He has cooperated in every instance of this investigation. It's been fully investigated. There's been no shortchanging of the seriousness of the accusations against him. And despite being fully investigated, no charges have been brought. Not for the original rape accusation, not for the alleged violation of the temporary order, nothing. So my client has cooperated fully, Your Honor, and with nothing turning up, I don't believe that anything is going to rise to the level of preponderance of the evidence. Now, I will say that the only instance of attempted contact that Jacob readily admits to is that he did in fact hire a private investigator at my direction to attempt to serve Luke with a cease and desist, directed at the continuing harassment Luke had directed at Jacob, his business, and his family. That was ultimately unsuccessful, and all attempts at contacting Luke, even for the purpose of serving them with that cease and desist, stopped as soon as Jacob was served with a protective order from Colorado. To sum up, Your Honor, one of the main points that I don't want to have happen today is for a moral judgment to go against my client and have a protective order entered against it. I think that my client has done everything he can to be honest both with the court and with all investigators of these accusations. He's even readily admitted to both this court and in Colorado that he served alcohol to a minor, which, Your Honor, from my perspective, I don't think my client's trying to hide anything. But to sum up, my client has a civil stalking injunction against Luke. He has no interest in contacting Luke, has never displayed any behavior that would make it likely that Luke would be subject to abuse. He would readily agree to even a no contact order, but for the concern that that would be used against him to fuel the fire of the online mob that's been directed against his family and his business. The allegations in this case simply don't have evidence to support them for the court to find that by a preponderance of the evidence, the petitioner is entitled to a protective order. So we ask that the court deny this request and order the matter dismissed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Is there any rebuttal, Mr. Erickson?
Yes, I'd like to say a couple things. One, I know that the police had dropped this case or had shelved it due to insufficient evidence. And I would like to bring up that only 9 out of 1,000 rapists ever actually see prison. 9. And that is evidence that it's not evidence. It's that is a real statistic. So just because the case was dropped does not mean it did not happen. Multiple times today we had heard Jacob's witnesses talking about how I was drunk. Ryan said that I was starting to drink very early in the night. The minute that we got back, I was too drunk to consent, and Jacob himself had admitted that we had had sex that night. I was too drunk. I was raped. And I went public about what happened. And yes, people are very angry on my behalf, but that's not my fault. If somebody was murdered, you would want to know, and you wouldn't want to support that person. If they didn't want to be, it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. And that's all I have to say, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Right. I want to think about this for just a couple of minutes. So we're going to go off the record and take a short recess, and then we'll be back with you quickly.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. First, I want to tell everybody that I appreciate their participation this afternoon, the information that I've been given, particularly given my concern initially that there was no way we were going to get this done in one afternoon. I think everybody did a really good job to present the evidence. thoroughly, but as well as expeditiously, and I appreciate that. Everyone has also done a great job of being courteous to each other, which in a high conflict case such as this is a rarity. Let me try to narrow down the scope of the decision where I've been struggling at the outset. For me to find that a protective order should be issued, I have to find either that there has been abuse or domestic violence or that there will be. I can't find that there's anything to suggest that there is a likelihood in the future of anything happening between these two, except the unfortunate possibility of the online war that seems to be going on. That certainly doesn't qualify as abuse or domestic violence. So it comes down to whether an act has occurred in the past that might meet one of those definitions. I don't have enough evidence to find that there was actually a Skype attempt to contact, much less exactly when it took place in relationship with when either the Colorado or the Utah protective orders was in effect. And so I'm declining to enter a protective order on that basis. With respect to the allegations that there was an ongoing relationship that involved coercion and manipulation, I don't think I have enough evidence there to get me to the preponderance standard to convince me that there was a lack of consent or an inability to consent. Judge West used to say on occasion that the reluctant yes is still a yes. There may have been these scenarios where Mr. Erickson felt as though food or shelter or something of that nature was on the line. But without more specifics, I think that I can't make that finding. And that takes us down to the night of New Year's Eve in 2019. It's undisputed that everybody was drinking alcohol that night, with the exception of the 3 minor children. That the adults, and in particular the adults who owned the home, knew and encouraged Mr. Erickson and his friend to consume alcohol, even though neither of these individuals was 21. It's also undisputed that at some point during that night, the parties engaged in sexual intercourse. So what it all comes down to is the issue of consent. Mr. Erickson's version of the events, that there was a verbal indication of no, that he was essentially dragged downstairs and forced to participate, is very clear, perhaps even more clear than one might expect given the amount of alcohol that he'd consumed, as verified by the video that was submitted as Petitioner's Exhibit D. I'm also not certain that I find it credible that Ms. Shepherd could have heard what was going on a different floor over the noise of the party and the noise that would have arisen from Mr. Pippin's video game, since he evidently wasn't using headphones. However, I am very concerned about the fact that Mr. Erickson was clearly drunk and that the homeowner / potential landlord was the one who had supplied that alcohol and then engaged in sexual intercourse. So while you have been waiting anxiously, I have been scanning the language in section 76-5-406, which defines sexual offenses against the victim without the consent of the victim and describes some of the circumstances under which that might be deemed to have occurred. Now, case law makes it clear that this is not an exhaustive list, but the provision of an illicit substance, and it was illicit for Mr. Erickson, is something that is concerning to me. Subsection E of that statute describes a scenario where the actor knows the victim is unconscious, unaware that the act is occurring, or is physically unable to resist. Now, I don't think there's any evidence that Mr. Erickson was unconscious or that she was unaware that the act was going on. In fact, the testimony was that he knew what was going on and that he resisted to the extent of telling Mr. King no. But I think the physically unable to resist is an apt description of the scenario here, where you have a young, relatively slight individual who had consumed an awful lot of alcohol and who I think didn't have the ability to resist if an older person, particularly a person of authority, insisted on having sex. So I am finding on that basis that there is enough by a preponderance of the evidence to establish that non-consensual sex occurred. And on that basis, I'm going to enter the protective order. The protective order will contain the first paragraph that says there's to be no domestic violence, the second paragraph that says that there is to be no contact, direct or indirect, between the parties, and the fourth paragraph that says that there is to, that Mr. King, is to stay away from anywhere Mr. Erickson lives, anywhere she works, in any vehicle that she drives. Now, let me just suggest one thing to the both of you as a free bit of legal advice. I know that people have championed both of your causes, and I'm aware of the recent stalking injunction application that was filed by Ms. Shepherd against Mrs. King. I would suggest that the two of you do what you can to tone down the reactions of your followers, lest they be imputed to you and be viewed as a violation of either the stalking injunction or this protective order. I know you can't necessarily control people, and particularly folks on the internet are going to do and say what they want to do. But to the extent that the two of you can tell them to back off, I think it will be better for everybody concerned, particularly with the damage that has been already done to Mr. King's business. Mr. Hadley, would you be willing to accept service via e-filing of the protective order on your client's behalf?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. We'll get the order done. As soon as it's been countersigned by the judge, we will get copies distributed to everybody. And Mr. Hadley, just so you can remember, please, in the next couple of days, if you could get hard copies of those exhibits delivered up to the courthouse and have them, I'm going to have you deliver them directly to Scott, who is my case manager. And that way we'll make sure that they don't get lost on Judge Hall's desk or something.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good rest of the afternoon and a good evening. And we are adjourned.
Your Honor.